Welcome back. WNST still feeling the afterglow of a really nice victory over the Detroit Lions and watching the Steelers on Monday night and gathering our popcorn for the latest version of Steelers-Bengals. Certainly had the similar ending we're used to where the Steelers won, but Monday night, an old-school sort of body bag, awful night where you wanted to turn your head away from the TV as well as Twitter in the aftermath of the Ryan Shazier injury. This guy was on the scene in Cincinnati, no doubt eating some chili, as they are known to do there locally. All the Pittsburgh media down there sort of aghast at what happened to Ryan Shazier. Guy Junker, no mystery to all this, been around it forever there at WTAE in Pittsburgh. Guy, that was about as ugly a thing as I've ever seen in the modern era of me covering football the last 22, 23 years.
Yeah, the funny part of it is all the ugly hits in the game. The Shazier injury happened on really a kind of nondescript play. I looked down to take a note or look at something on Twitter and was surprised when I looked up and saw the concern around him on the field. It was just, his head hit his leg the wrong way. And I have covered, I was at the game when Tommy Maddox got hurt in Tennessee, and I was also at the game that Adam Taliaferro got hurt playing for Penn State against Ohio State in Columbus. And luckily, both of them looked as bad as this does, but both of them worked out well, and hopefully this one will too. They both made recoveries.
Well, in the case of the Steelers and just the kind of game it was, in the old vernacular, we would say soften them up a bit for us, Marvin, And maybe even in the old era, I'd send Marvin a text and say, soften them up for us a little bit. It was that kind of game. And, Antonio Brown came into it injured, got pushed around. Obviously, the Schuster-Smith hit on Burfict at the end. That is now the ugliest rivalry because, and this was brought up by someone on your side of the affair on the Pittsburgh side saying, well, the Ravens and Steelers sort of respect each other. The Bengals and Steelers don't.
I think that's 100% right. In fact, I long for the hard-hitting Steeler-Raven games, and you had guys getting on the other team's buses afterwards and mouthing off. But I do think there was a little more respect there, and that all came from the 18-16 playoff game here a few years ago. I think once you've had more than one cheap shot, look, Burfict isn't just a guy that's done this to the Steelers. He's done it to other teams and players as well. But I got to be honest with you, I didn't enjoy watching that game Monday night. It got too ugly. It got too brutal. Mixon gets a concussion. Burfict gets carted off. Shazier gets carted off. They hit on the tying touchdown on Antonio Brown by Iloka all a day after what Rob Gronkowski did. And look, I'm not for flag football, and I think the game has actually lost some of its appeal because of the way the rules have changed, and they have to based on what we know medically now. But this to me has gotten too ugly. It's not fun.
Well, and it's not a good reflection upon the league, right? At a time where, and I know you know this, things have changed a lot since that Steeler game and, fans staying away. We got 15, 20, 25,000 empty seats here every week because the play's not any good and the offense kind of sucks and we're mad about the knee and there's violence in our city and, all of these reasons. But, and then week after week, it feels like you put the television on. I'm looking for reasons that people would want to come back and enjoy the excitement of football and the passion and the fellowship of being fans and all that. We got real problems here, Guy.
Well, we're in the business, but I have found myself this year even, and a lot of it is oversaturation. You can't have a game on Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday night, and have them all be good games that are teams at the top of the division. There was a weekend earlier this year with some of the teams on byes where there wasn't a single game in the NFL with two winning teams matched against each other. I don't want to watch that anymore. I've reached a point in my life where if I turn on the Monday night game and it's a clunker or one or both teams stink, I'll watch a movie. That never used to be the case. And I'm in the business, so if I feel that way, what does the more casual fan feel?
Well, I think, on the bigger picture, and I'll talk about this a whole lot, but, Goodell getting kicked around and Jerry Jones and all that, to me, the biggest sin they've made for the game itself is playing these crazy Thursday night games. Once they went down into that rabbit hole to chase the money for the oversaturation part of this, boy, I think it's really, really affected the game dramatically. I think it's a throwaway game. The fans see it as such. Fans don't want to go to it. They don't want to watch it. Players don't want to play in it. Coaches don't want to coach in it. Just all the way around, I think that was sort of the beginning of, well, if maybe they don't care as much as they say they care about putting a great product on the field. No one would want to serve a bad pizza in a restaurant. No one would want to serve a warm beer in a bar. Why are you serving me that?
I agree. and you know, you express concern about concussions and player safety and everything through rules and fines, and then you're going to make a guy go out and put his body on the line 4 days after he just did when they haven't even started to recover yet. I mean, that's the players hate playing that game, as you know, and I think I was talking with the Steelers play-by-play guy the other day. One of their issues lately has been, and maybe you guys will see this coming up this weekend, is poor tackling, and I think it's a league-wide problem and has been for years. But it's really bitten the Steelers. The amount of long pass plays that they've given up, it's not just all guys getting completely behind their secondary. They're missing a lot of tackles, and I think a lot of that is the lack of full contact practice. Training camp is only in shorts in the morning now. They get every Tuesday off. They don't practice the day before in pads or the day after a game. And then, so look, I'm all for player safety, but it definitely has watered the product down. I don't think they're technically as sound as they used to be. And when you do see a game that erupts into violence like the Monday night Steelers-Bengals game, it's not just good old-fashioned hard hitting, it's cheap shots, and I don't want to see that either.
Guy Junker covers all things Steelers up there in Pittsburgh. We will be at the Confluence on Sunday night. Luke Jones and I will be on the scene at Heinz Field, eating Mr. Rooney's cookies, as we are known to do. And, of course, Luke will be out on the backfields in Owings Mills. Short week, short rest, lots of injuries. And the Ravens, meanwhile, on the backside of the Jimmy Smith thing, which is no small thing on Antonio Brown or anyone else the rest of the season when we have to play some real teams, maybe come playoff time around here. But the Ravens are playing their best football right now. And for that, we're all heartened down here. You're going to see a different version of the team than the one you saw on October 1st. I think that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think they saw a different version of the Bengals, too. I think both the Bengals and the Ravens are playing better than when the Steelers played them the first time. And I think defensively right now, the Steelers are vulnerable a little bit. There's no question that once Joe Hayden got hurt, Joe was not complaining, but stating earlier in the year that he didn't think he had made enough splash plays. And at that point, he only had the one pick. But I think he has settled the Steelers secondary down so much, and you combine that with Mike Mitchell not playing for the last couple of weeks now. So you got two starters out in the secondary. Now you lose two linebackers last night. There literally was a couple of points last night, or Monday night, that I had to look at the roster to see who some of these guys were that were playing. They had guys that were third on the depth chart. So depending on how these injuries play out this week, before the kickoff with the Ravens and Steelers, you could be facing a pretty watered-down Steeler defense.
I don't know if you thought they were going to lose when they were losing 17-0 and Shazier was getting carted off. And, it's the damnedest thing. I mean, everybody here fell asleep on the game, woke up Tuesday morning and said, SOBs won again. I went to bed. They were losing 17-0. How did they win? Dude, that's all they do. They win there. My respect for Tomlin and for Roethlisberger, it goes back to the respect of this thing is, I hate the Steelers with all my being, and Tomlin, he's the first one that knows that. But, they win. I mean, they just find a way to win a football game that they had no business winning on Monday night.
Yeah, I think that I said yesterday, they have a better winning percentage. At Paul Brown Stadium opened in 2000. They're 17-3 there. And two of the wins were in the only two playoff games they've met Cincinnati. So there was a typical Bengal moment in the way this rivalry has gone when if the Baltimore fans fell asleep and missed Le'Veon Bell's first receiving touchdown of the year, where two Bengals gave up on him on a sideline. He walked the tightrope, stayed in bounds, and goes 35 yards for a touchdown while they're standing there grasping their helmets. And I think that was a big spark for a team that had not done anything offensively all night to that point. So it's just one of those things. There's matchups in this league. You can't see, Steelers can't beat the Patriots. The Patriots struggle with you guys. And, for whatever reason, though, but Paul Brown Stadium has been a very friendly place. And you know what? I think a lot of it has to do with Roethlisberger still has a burr under his saddle about both of the teams from his home state passing on him in the draft. He has destroyed both the Browns and the Bengals throughout his career, especially in games played in the state of Ohio.
Guy Junker's up there in Pittsburgh doing it all at WTAE. You can find him at Guy Junker, WTAE, out on Twitter, as well as at WTAE.com. This portion of our WNST programming brought to you by our friends at King Discount Liquors, lottery, beer, booze, and the best prices in Baltimore. They're saving me some Malbec over there. Get over to Pulaski Highway in Rosedale and give the King a ring. Tell Paul King we said happy holidays over there as well. While you're over there, head over to Essex. Al's Seafood is at the foot of 702 at Stemmers Run in Eastern. Been there since the 1960s. I've been going since the 70s. It is the oldest crab house in all of Baltimore. Still in Essex, still there, and Chad the Crab Man is picking them out and Facebooking every night about how hot and big and juicy those crabs are. You can find them at Al's Seafood in Essex. Guy, somewhere Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are sitting around saying, hey, Harbaugh, Flacco, Suggs, you soften them up for us. The big game really for you guys is the Patriot game next week as they come in. And then there's this, if the Bengals can never beat the Steelers, certainly the Steelers have the ghost of Tom Brady running around in their head as well. I don't know what's going to derail Steelers-Patriots from being the thing that happens at the end of January. Maybe the Chargers, maybe the Ravens, maybe the Jaguars or the Titans. But I think everybody on the outside is looking at this as though it's sort of inevitable that it'll be Roethlisberger and Brady at the end, and the rest of these teams are just trying to upset that.
Yeah, I interviewed John Gruden for our pregame show before the Monday night game, and I asked him, can you see another team in the AFC, representing the Super Bowl besides the Steelers or the Patriots? And he said no. He says, if anybody, maybe the Chargers, because they're coming on strong now, that would be his dark horse, but he thinks it will be one of those two. The thing about it is, so many people in Pittsburgh keep pointing to this game in 2 weeks, as to you got to win that so you have the Patriots at home in the playoffs. So you have them at home, you have to go up to Foxborough. Patriots haven't lost a road game this year. I don't know if where you play them matters right now, and I thought they were vulnerable early in the year. Their defense looked terrible early on. I thought maybe they were coming down a notch or two, but they seem to have straightened that out. So until someone tells me different, to me they're still the best team in the AFC. And, of course, there was a big stink about Mike Tomlin talking on Sunday Night Football a couple of weeks ago with Tony Dungy about the Patriots game, which if we would have asked him that question, he would have looked at us like we had purple hair, but he answered the question. Everyone's worried, he's worried about 2 weeks from now, and he's looking past the Bengals and the Ravens. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that, Tony's just a friend of his, gave him a coaching job early in his career, and he was a little more forthcoming with him than he would be the rest of the media. But if any of his players were caught talking about the Patriots, or any of us asked about them, there wouldn't have been an answer there.
Why are the Steelers so good so often? That's kind of a broad-ranging question. People would ask that about the Ravens over the years, and I would say it's just stability in general, the fact that they don't fire the first guy that comes along, and the fact that they're all pretty good at what they do. I mean, people piss on John Harbaugh around here. People still piss on Joe Flacco gets trouble here because he's not the world's greatest regular season quarterback, and all he's done is bring a parade here and many, many playoff berths here and about to create another one. All three of these guys about to put this team into the playoffs again against all odds. But when I think of the Steelers and the Patriots, it's Belichick and Brady. With the Steelers, I think it's bigger than that, right? I mean, people don't say, well, it's because of Colbert or because of Tomlin or because of Roethlisberger. It's more of like a systemic thing that goes on there over 4 decades now, right?
Well, before you said stability, that was the word that came to mind as you asked the question. Whether it's ownership, whether it's coach. I remember listening to the first game on the radio that Chuck Noll coached the Steelers. I was a 10-year-old kid helping my dad wash his car in the driveway. There have been 2 coaches since then. 3 if you count Chuck Noll. I mean, they don't fire. Even Bill Cowher had 3 straight years they did not make the playoffs, and there was a lot of rumors that he was on his way out. They stuck with him. He came back and he won a Super Bowl. There's something to be said for that. And you know what? They never go for a quick fix, even when fans are screaming for it. They don't make a lot of trades. They don't give away draft picks. And the years that they've been really good, they've drafted well. The years that they've struggled, they haven't. They build through the draft. So I think it's not only the stability of ownership, it's the stability of coaching, the stability of the front office. Kevin Colbert's been a great general manager. And you put all of that together, and there's a consistency to it that, they haven't had one of those, 2 and 14 years or something. And frankly, when Roethlisberger's ready to retire, they're going to need one of those to get their quarterback of the future. But even in all those years between Bradshaw and Roethlisberger, when they went through all the different quarterbacks, they still were a perennial playoff team.
And Dick LeBeau was only there 40 years, and they're still doing it without him.
That's right. That's right.
Guy, great having you on, man. Good to visit. We'll see you up there at the Confluence on Sunday night. I always appreciate your time and joining us here.
Hey, you talk about Mr. Rooney's cookies. We love coming to your place for the crab cakes. It's between you and Foxborough's lobster rolls is the best press box food in the NFL.
I've never had a lobster roll in Foxborough.
Really?
They keep it in a special place or something? I mean, I get the clam chowder, but hell, we play up there all the time. I've had the happiest and worst days of my life in that joint.
Oh, I know. No, at halftime, they have them in the press box, and there's a little sign, please take only one.
Which means you have 3 in your pocket. So, hey.
That's right.
Great to have you on. We'll see you on Sunday night, Guy. Thanks, bud.
Sounds good.
You got a Guy Junker joining us here for WTAE with Yins and Nat at the Confluence up there in Pittsburgh. Luke and I will be up there on Sunday night. We're going to be in Owings Mills all week long. If there's any breaking news, of course, you'll get that first on the WNST text service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Of course, Dennis is going to be here on Thursday getting you ready for Pittsburgh week as well. On the back end, a very impressive victory over the Lions last week. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month, never any commitment, and of course they'll help you work off all that excessive eggnog and those cookies that I'm going to be eating on Sunday night on Mr. Rooney's. Now, I'm going to put a picture of that up on social media too, because it's something I do. I eat the cookies in Pittsburgh. I don't talk a lot about the press box food, you know, the way some of the media does, but when it's good, it needs to be pointed. I probably should have put the omelet station up in Minnesota. Keep Bob Hagan happy up there, but I didn't, alas. The Buy a Toyota Audio Vault is there for you 24 hours a day. From anywhere in the world on your mobile device, you can listen when you want, where you want, how you want, right here on your mobile device. It's all brought to you by buyatoyota.com. I'm a very available individual. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.